Good evening, darlings and deviants. My name is Lucy, and I'm just a little loony. And earlier this week, we got our first look at the new magic set, Wilds of Eldraine. And, as with March of the Machine earlier in the year, a new Teamer Legendary has come out that I'm going to geek out about. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Let's talk about the new queen on the block. She's a powerhouse, mostly because she's bigger than a house. Her name is Beluna Grandsquall. She's a green, a red, and a blue for a 4/4 legendary giant noble that reads, permanent spells you cast that have an adventure cost 1 less to cast. But that's not all. She also has an adventure have herself, Seek Thrills. For 2, a green, a red, and a blue, you get an instant that reads, mill 7 cards. Then put all cards that have an adventure from among the milled cards into your hand. Ooh boy, is that a lot of card advantage. We'll get into some math later, but it's clear that Beluna wants to go on an adventure and bring all of her friends. Before I go any further, let's talk about adventures. Adventures are a card type that first originated way back in the original Eldraine set, Throne of Eldraine. These have a few rules hiccups with them, but the short version is that you can cast the adventure half of the card first as an instant or sorcery, depending on whichever one it is, then cast the second half of the card from exile. That typical half is going to be what the main card is, and that's typically a permanent like a creature or an artifact. It's like the card is going on an adventure. And everywhere else, however, it is just the creature or artifact half of it. But we're gonna break some of those rules, so just stay tuned. They don't call me Looney for nothing after all. I'm super excited about Beluna, mostly because I love getting value, and Beluna lets us not only get value from drawing a bunch of cards, but we also get tons of value from all of those cards in our deck being 2-for-1s. There's not a whole bunch of super amazing adventures. Some of them are draft chaff and some of them just kind of are boring. But the ones that are out and that are good are fantastic. First off, let's take a look at some of the heavy hitters. First off, it's Omni-Clown Colossus. I mean, come on. It's a clown, I'm a ring mistress, so obviously I'd... Huh? I wonder who that could be. Hello? Ah, ring mistress. I saw that you were speaking about adventures, yes? Well, yes, but how did you know that? It's my responsibility to know everything that's going on under this tent, mostly because you don't. Hey, I know everything. As long as it's comedic or for a video. Anyway, what did you need? I came to remind you that the COSHA guidelines forbid us from recommending the Omni-Clown Colossus, both due to its illegal nature in the Commander format and the multiple violations to the Geneva Conventions it has committed. Oh man, COSHA's ruining my videos yet again. Oh well. Thanks for letting me know, Giggles. I will ask you once again to please call me Mrs. McHonks-a-lot. It's more professional that way. Sorry, Giggles is cuter and funnier. Talk to you later. Well, COSHA's cracking down on me, so let's move on to a card we can legally play in Commander. Talinkali Hunter is 5 and 2 green for a 7/7 Scorpion Scout with Trample that lets us cast a creature spell from exile for the low cost of free. Plus, it also works during each turn, meaning if we can set up some kind of flash, which blue, red, and green are fantastic at, then we can be cheating out so many creatures after we send them on an adventure. The Hunter also has an adventure ability as well. Retrieve Prey is a sorcery for 1 and a green that lets us exile a creature spell from our graveyard and then turn around and cast it this turn. A 2-mana tax to get our best creature out is good enough, but if we play this adventure half and follow it up right after by playing Talinkali Hunter, we get to cast the creature we exiled for free. That's a whole lot of potential value right there. Sapphire Dragon is another cool adventure card that has great utility in a deck like this. For 5 and 2 blue, you get a 5/6 flying dragon that lets you scry 2 whenever it attacks or blocks. And that's aggressively mediocre for sure, but the heavy hitter is the adventure half of it. Psionic Pulse is 2 and a blue for an instant that counters any non-creature spell. That counterspell by itself is bad. When we staple both of these mediocre cards together, they make something that's pretty good overall. We get to, counter a non-creature spell, which is going to be a big artifact, a big ramp spell, a big card draw spell, a big board wipe, anything like that. But then we get to follow it up with a giant dragon on the back end. It's not the heaviest of hitters, but it's one of those cards that is a very good role player in a deck like this. Naturally, there's plenty more super cool adventures to talk about, and I could go on and on about those for the rest of this video. And let's not forget that even more adventures are coming out in the Wilds of Eldraine set. But for now, I just want to talk about some cool support cards for adventures. Edgewall Innkeeper is 1 green for a 1/1 human peasant that lets you draw a card whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure. He's cheap for his cost, but don't let that fool you. He can draw you a good many cards if you're casting your adventures, especially when partnered with Beluna. My absolute favorite card for adventures, however, is Lucky Clover. It's a 2-mana artifact that lets you copy every instant and sorcery spell you cast, as long as it's an adventure. There's more than a few adventures that are really good with this card, but really, on average, just copying your spells is good. Another adventure support card is the Nalfashni. This massive monster of a card from Dungeons & Dragons is 5 and a red for a 4/6 demon with flying that lets us copy spells we cast from exile. Hey, that means our adventure creatures. The one downside being we don't get to keep the copies if they're permanents, but hey, they stick around and give us the benefit while the token is around. Plus, it gets haste, so it can attack immediately. Now, normally, once an adventure card is in the graveyard, we can't bring it back unless we're getting the creature or permanent half of it. But what if we want to cast the adventure half again? Well, the rules interaction for this is a bit complex, but the TLDR is, if a card says it gives an effect to all of the instants and sorceries in your graveyard, that includes your adventures as well. So, for example, if you give them all flashback with Leer, Prophet of the Drowned, or Past in Flames, you can cast the adventure spells like you would any other instant sorcery. The bonus? You can then turn around and cast the adventure creature as well, since they're on an adventure in exile. I'll link to a video done by the very fantastic creator Keeping It Casual in the description. He goes over this in a much quicker and much more concise way, be sure to check it out. Finally, let's get back to Beluna and do some math, because I'm sure you're wondering just how many cards that effect of hers is going to draw you on average, huh? Well, I'm a magician, not a mathematician, but I'll do my best. Currently, we have 40 cards with adventure in the blue, red, and green color identity. One of them is Beluna, so she doesn't count, and one is a COSHA violation, so I'm not legally allowed to suggest we play that. Stupid COSHA. Anyway, that leaves us with 38 adventures if we want to run all of them for the sake of argument. Note, some of these are from Wilds of Eldraine, and there's 2 pre-constructed commander decks coming out, so these numbers might not be perfect, so we don't know what's all in the set. We don't know what's in those decks, so bear with me while I try to do some napkin math on this. Plus, not all of these adventures are the pinnacle of power level, so take these statistics with a grain of salt. So let's say we play all of the adventures that we know about right now. Throw in about 37 lands and fill the deck with some other stuff like Passive Flames, Leer, stuff like that, to get to that 99 total. Doesn't really matter, this isn't a deck, we're just doing some math here. This is where statistics gets weird, and I'll let people better at math than me go into the specifics, but by the time you're casting Beluna, you're not going to have 99 cards in your deck. You're drawing 7 to start your turn, you've probably ramped a little bit, you've drawn a few cards, you've probably already drawn some adventures as well. So let's say for the sake of argument, the average use of Seek Thrills is going to have you at around 90 cards with 35 adventures. This is very much napkin math. You're probably going to have less than 90 cards in your deck, but then the variance is whether you're drawing that many adventures or if you're playing all of them. Again, this is all napkin math. Please don't listen to me. I'm a magician, not a mathematician. Listen to somebody who's good at math if you want that. To hit one adventure, you have about a 97% chance, which is almost 100%, but if we're spending 5 mana to draw 1 card and mill 6 other cards, that's not good. That's pretty dookie. So, as is drawing 2 or more at 83%, we really want to, for 5 mana, be drawing at least 3 cards. So let's mainly take a look at how often we're hitting that 3 or more threshold. That number is a 56% chance, which isn't really that bad at all. Half the time you hit 3, you're at least getting 1 card back. Sometimes you pop off with 4 or more. Seems pretty reasonable and very fun. And this isn't even considering the fact that more adventures could be getting printed since the set is still being spoiled. We don't know what's coming out. I still have a bit more to say about Beluna, but since there's still some more surprises to come in Wilds of Eldraine, I'll have to wait a bit before I do something like a full deck tech or just gush about all the cool stuff that's coming out in this set. For now though, are there any other cool adventure cards that you like? Or maybe you're still a bit curious about how the mechanic as a whole works and want to know a bit more? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're there, be sure to give me a like and a subscribe. It lets me know that I'm doing a good job and keeps this show on the road. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, au revoir!